Everybody who's subscribed to this channel probably knows by now that I love Easter eggs. I love Easter eggs in video games and movies, everything. And today, I love creepy Easter eggs. That's right, the creepiest Easter eggs in video game history. Welcome everybody, Jimmy or Chaos. Do me a favor, if you enjoy scary video games, drop a like and turn on those notifications. And today we're going to go over some of the creepiest offerings we've ever seen in the form of Easter eggs in video games. We're going to start off with the Ratman's Den in Portal 1 and 2. Now, Portal is a fantastic game, so was the sequel. These puzzle games were praised. I mean, the level design, the mechanics, the writing. If you've ever played Portal, you know things get pretty dark pretty fast. Don't be fooled by the writing and the great jokes and the witty little humor, because as you explore these levels, well, you're going to come across some stuff that GLaDOS probably didn't want you to find. In both Portal 1 and 2, you can find the Ratman's Den, which these are secret rooms filled with papers thrown around. They have drawings on the wall, dead radios scattered around, and if you hang out long enough, you'll start hearing some creepy voices in the background. Portal's atmosphere, top-notch. That's part of what makes the Ratman's Den so disturbing when you stumble upon it. Next up, the Pennywise balloon in Far Cry 5. Ubisoft loves Easter eggs in their open-world games. After all, they make huge maps, so they might as well give you something to search for. In Far Cry 5, it did not take long for fans to find this reference to Stephen King's It, which makes sense because Far Cry 5 dropped just a year after the 2017 It movie. There's a sewer drain with a single red balloon tied to the entrance, beckoning you to come on in. Thankfully, Pennywise won't show up and take you, but the balloon is certainly a creepy sight when you first encounter it, especially if you don't know that it's going to be there. Next up, the hanging Luigi in Luigi's Mansion. This is insane. If you've never heard it, this is one that Nintendo has actually tried to deny over the years because it was so disturbing, but we know why it was there. Early on in Luigi's Mansion, the power in the building goes out, at which point you have to go up to the third floor and answer a telephone. After you answer the phone and the lighting brightens back up the room, you'll see a silhouette of Luigi hanging on the wall. And when I say hanging, I mean hanging. For a Nintendo game, it was extremely dark at the time and disturbing. Like I said before, Nintendo devs have tried over the years to convince people it was just a glitch. But when you look at the silhouette, it's way too specific. I think the devs had a little too much fun with this one, but they tried to back it up after creeping out thousands of players back in 2001. At number 10 today, the haunted room in Call of Duty Finest Hour. Now, Call of Duty is not a horror franchise, but there have been some spooky Easter eggs throughout the years. One of the earliest examples was the haunted room during the campaign in Finest Hour, which dropped all the way back in 2004. In the mission Underground Passage, there's a locked door that can actually be busted open by throwing a couple grenades at it. Once you walk inside, well, you'll be treated to a pretty creepy sight as the building has no ceiling and it's filled with floating candles and toys. Yep, the community has debated over and over whether this room is supposed to represent, if anything, but we've never gotten an official explanation, and I guess we won't. I guess the devs just wanted to creep everybody out, and they succeeded. At number 9, the Lost Island in Just Cause 2. How many of you watched Lost back in the day? If you missed it, you can pay the island a creepy visit in Just Cause 2. There's a certain island on the game's map. It will cause your plane to suddenly explode when you fly over, which leads you to fall onto said island in a crash landing. Sounds familiar, right? Once you start exploring, you'll find it's a recreation of the island from Lost, complete with the huge SOS in the sand and even the remains of Oceanic Flight 815. Then to top it all off, you can venture to the north side of the island and come face to face with the show's main monster, shrouded in black smoke. It was an awesome Easter egg for fans of the show, but if you didn't watch Lost and you just happened to stumble upon it, you probably freaked out. At number 8, the James corpse in Silent Hill 2. Now, Silent Hill 2 is one of the best horror games ever made. We've said it many times on this channel, and part of the reason why people love it was the psychological aspect. You play as a dude named James, and the story really dives into his subconscious to screw around with you. Throughout the game, you explore. You come across some dead bodies in the street, okay, and beaten to a pulp and super tough to recognize. Now, most people won't inspect these bodies very closely, but if you slow things down and you take a look, you will find out every single corpse in Silent Hill is actually James. Most players didn't catch this on their first playthrough, but once you notice it, the game gets a whole lot creepier if you can actually believe that. At number 7, Del Lago in Resident Evil 4. He is the first boss of Resident Evil 4 and by far the most terrifying. I'm sure you know the fight. You got your little makeshift speedboat. You're trying to fight off this giant frog monster by throwing a bunch of spears at it, but did you know there was an Easter egg involving the monster? Before you officially start the fight, you can go to the lake where it takes place. And to start the fight, you have to get on the boat, but if you choose to stay on the dock and just shoot a few rounds at the lake, Del Lago will burst out of the ground and insta-kill you. It's not really a fun or rewarding Easter egg, but now you know how to get Del Lago to eat you on command, right? At number 6, HELLVALLEYSKYTREE in Super Mario Galaxy 2. You've probably heard of this one as well. It made waves when it was first discovered and even became the basis of a few creepypastas. In Super Mario Galaxy 2, head to Shiverburn Galaxy and take a look. Eventually, you'll come to a valley. If you look up in the distance, you'll see a group of shadowy figures staring at you. Now, it's creepy enough on its own, but when data miners looked into the Super Mario Galaxy 2 game code, it was discovered these figures are actually called the HELLVALLEYSKYTREE in the game files. Yeah, for some reason, these creatures are called HELLVALLEYSKYTREEs in a Mario game. They're never referenced in the game itself, and Nintendo doesn't even acknowledge they're there, but they are, and it makes them even creepier. At number 5, the Hotel Ghost in Hitman Contracts. This game dropped all the way back in 2004. It's pretty solid. It's an old school entry in the series. Not one of the best, but it was fun. However, you need to stay on your toes during the mission's traditions of the trade, or else you're going to get pretty spooked. You venture through a hotel, there's a few moments that you think it may be haunted, you go to the bathrooms, and guess what? All your suspicions are confirmed. Look into the mirror and you'll see a ghost standing behind Agent 47, but if you stare too long, the ghost goes poof into thin air. There's actually 1 or 2 ways to kill the ghost, but the first time you encountered it, it was probably a bit unsettling. Now, Hitman isn't exactly the kind of game you'd expect something like that from, but it was pretty cool. At number 4, the begging head crabs in Half-Life 2. Now, the head crabs are some of the most unsettling enemies in gaming history, but there's more to them than meets the eye. Not only are they creepy parasites that take over the bodies of human victims, but there's an Easter egg thrown into their audio. If you listen very closely to these creatures during combat, you can actually hear them crying for help and begging you to kill them. That's right, some of these Easter eggs can only be heard by recording your gameplay and then playing it back in reverse. If that's not creepy and doesn't deserve to be on the list, I don't know what does. At number 3, the ghost in Pokemon X and Y. Now, Pokemon has a lot of Easter eggs, but this one in X and Y sticks out. There's a certain building in Lumino City where things get a little weird. The music cuts out, the lighting's weird, the vibe, it's creepy. Then if you hang out there, the ghost of a girl will float by you and say, "No, you're not the one," before leaving the area. Now, for a Pokemon game, this was scary. I think it's worthy of a shout out. At number 2 today, the Dead Sports Team in Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar loves Easter eggs, and some of the best ones are the creepy ones. In RDR2, you'll be treated to one of the most gruesome Easter eggs ever put in a Rockstar game. Now, some of you may have seen this one already, but if you haven't, here you go. You're venturing around the map, you possibly stumble upon a disgusting pile of bodies all dressed in team uniforms. Some of them are even bound with bags on their head to make the image even creepier. But paying attention to the newspapers around the map, you will piece together some information about what happened. But if you didn't know about this Easter egg before stumbling upon it, you were probably shocked and awed. And at number 1 today, the creepiest Easter egg on this list. Who are you running from in Game Boy Camera? Does anybody even remember this? It was an add-on for the original Game Boy that was only available from 1998 to 2002. The camera had a little app for you to use with a handful of commands, but for some reason, Nintendo decided to add a very freaky Easter egg in there. There was this little adventure game with a handful of options for you to hit, like run, shoot, items, stuff like that. And if you make the mistake of hitting run, there's a chance a super creepy face would pop up on your screen with a message that reads, "Who are you running from?" Now, for a Game Boy Camera game, this was the absolute last thing people were expecting to see, and since it's gone down in gaming history as one of the creepiest Easter eggs ever, I thought it was pretty deserving of a good spot today. There you have it, my friends. Let me know another Easter egg that creeped you out that didn't make this list, and I'll see you soon.